Commence primary ignition.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
What a piece of junk.
Enterprise, this is the captain.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's all part of the plan.
Engage.
Welcome back to Podcast 2 for 1. I am your host, Donovan Thompson, with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
and we're back in the studio.
Yes.
It's been a little bit.
It's been a long ass time.
Yeah, it has. And today we're talking Disney Plus's new show, WandaVision.
Ooh, can't wait to talk about it.
I know. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button below, that notification bell. That way you're up to date on all future episodes of Podcast 2 for 1. And of course, our new content.
Yeah, 2 for 1 collectors.
2 for 1 collectors.
First episode is up right this minute.
Yeah, and maybe in a day or two, we'll have 2 for 1 Backflash, where we look at old movies and talk about maybe some things that you didn't hear about or something that maybe you've forgotten. And those are some good pieces.
This is bite-sized content, guys. I know you come to us for your like encyclopedic knowledge of everything cool, and just because we're pretty. But this stuff is more bite-sized, 2 to 3 minute content. Our first episode's up on a really cool action figure that I don't even remember the name of, but our great friend Matt is like our expert on action figures. So if you like cool, giant ass, ridiculously expensive midlife crisis level action figures and
really
light up
expensive
things like Megatron, like all these other ones, check out 2 for 1 collectors. I think you'll like it. And if you have any other friends that are into nerd shit like that, you should let them know.
And they drop every Monday at 2 p.m.
Yep.
So
at least until what, fucking April?
For a while.
Yeah.
And until season 2 kicks in.
Yeah.
So WandaVision.
It's finally here. It feels like it's been a long time because of COVID.
It has. I think it originally was supposed to. It's kind of weird because I feel like they were supposed to do Falcon and Winter Soldier first.
They were.
I think they were supposed to.
They were. I feel like that was 100% confirmed.
And then this is supposed to happen, I think, around October, November,
like Halloween-ish, right?
Yeah, and then anyway, it kind of got. I think COVID pushed it, and it got reordered a little bit.
Yeah.
So now we're here.
Well, this one's obviously so far it seems a much easier set than Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Well, part of that because, as you know, if you've seen it, and we're talking about the first 2 episodes here, is that it's shot in a sitcom style, and they actually shot the first couple episodes actually in front of a live studio audience and did it in the time frame that you would take you for a sitcom.
Right. No, yeah.
It was like a week for one episode. Kind of thing.
So, I mean, getting right into it. Yeah. It's got this great, I Love Genie / Bewitched. Is I Love Genie a real show? Did I make that
It's
up?
I Love Lucy. I Dream of Genie.
I Dream of Genie.
And then Bewitched.
I Dream of Genie. That's the one. Okay, yeah.
All right.
But I Love Lucy's in there too. It's kind of got these
100%.
3, kind of classic 50s, 60s sitcom vibes.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly funny, honestly. Like the jokes that they're making, because they're making kind of your classic sitcom trope jokes. But they're doing it from the perspective that they're superheroes.
And the perspective of pre-existing knowledge of who these characters are, and what we expect from superheroes in the MCU in particular.
Yes, I mean, so like when they're making like his boss is joking about Vision being a robot, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just a human, all flesh and blood here." You know, it's like that's funny because it's playing off what we know of these characters and putting them in these classic situations that we've known from just watching TV for 100 years. Yeah, I'm really, starting it, I was kind of expecting it to have a pretty quick tone shift at some point, kind of like deep, dark, creepy or something. But it just kept going. And at first I was like, I don't know how. I'm like kind of watching it. And I'm like, it's hard almost to take it seriously right now.
Yeah,
because it's just so light and sitcom-y. But as it went, I mean, and we'll talk about kind of the things it does, it starts getting, I think, a lot more interesting to where now I'm like, next week I'm really excited just to see. I'm hopeful of either just, if we're just going to be slowly peeling back an onion on this show and it's a little bit each week, or maybe by next week or the next couple weeks there's kind of a big shift in where we're going, where we are. But yeah, what do you think so far?
No, I agree with you. I think we know that the first episode is in like kind of reminiscent of the 50s, right? And when you're watching it, it feels like you're watching a 1950s show.
100%.
From the aspect ratio to the frame rate, the laugh track, to the timing of the jokes and that kind of stuff, and they're the music, and they're nailing it. And it's one of those things like I think about, okay, Mandalorian. I'm really glad that there's a week in between because it creates that water cooler talk, much like we're doing here. We're talking about it. But after those 2 episodes, I was like, I just want to watch the whole thing right now.
Yeah.
And I wonder if part of that is because I'm used to the MCU. When I sit down for an MCU movie, I get the whole story right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that being said, same goes for Star Wars, and we got used to it. But Star Wars, we had Clone Wars. Like we were kind of used to this bite-sized content with Star Wars.
We are. And I think even like with The Mandalorian, I think that kind of show lends itself to a weekly a lot more just because I think
it's also more villain of the week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's less of a bingey format.
Yeah.
But this one is kind of where like, I mean, presumably the next episode starts exactly what the last one ended.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
And that kind of lends itself to more of for me, just kind of a continuous watching. And
there's a mystery. That's a big thing too.
There's a mystery. And the big thing, they're short.
They're
short. Really short. I mean, like the first one was 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And the second one was, I think, a little longer than that. Maybe 25.
Right. Yeah.
But I texted you guys because I was like, oh, great. I like sat down. It was like 29-minute runtime. I was like, oh, great. I can't wait. And it was like over. And I was like, wow, that felt short. And I was like, 21 minutes? Like, that's there 9 minutes of credits?
Well, that's the thing. They're going to have to more than likely have the same credits after every episode, like a movie. And and it's the most expensive show ever produced. Well, that's aired, I should say. Winter Soldier will probably out chunk it.
Yeah, and I'll say too, it's still fun to listen to the Marvel Universe opening with the.
I was like, I literally told Katie, I said, "Wonder what it's going to be? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be different?" And then it happened. I was like, "Of course it's going to be the same."
So good.
And I was like,
"It's the best
nice.
one that's ever."
Oh, yeah,
it's such a good intro.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think the other thing with the credits though is that like the first half of them are kind of in universe.
They are.
And you're seeing this kind of weird footage that obviously, you know, we'll be getting into spoilers for the first 2 episodes. We will not be getting into spoilers for now as terms of a season level. Now, we will at the end of this episode, we'll give you guys a warning. We'll be talking about some theories and some leaks and some ideas of what could be happening. So if you don't want those, we'll warn you. But we are right now going to talk about what happens in episode 1 and 2. So at the end of episode 1, where it ends on that computer desk.
Right.
With it zooming out and someone's been watching WandaVision and there's that notebook and you know, someone's been scribbling something.
It's Sword which is the organization from the comics. Yeah. I was
going to ask about that. Yeah. Sword. So, but obviously that is kind of what we're looking at in the credit sequence, at least in the first part, the highly produced part.
Right.
And so I watched it again because I was really looking, I'm wondering too, just going forward, is there going to be different bits of information in that?
I was looking at episode 2. Yeah, I was.
I did the same thing. Yeah.
And I was kind of even wondering, will there be an after credits scene for every episode?
I did because I was like, 7 minutes of credits. Surely there's a scene.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make as much sense to do on a TV show either.
It doesn't. But also, I can see a world where in the last episode there's an after credit scene for the last episode.
No, yeah,
kind of like it's one movie, so to speak, and
I could totally see that.
They're giving it to you at the very end.
No, I hadn't looked into it, so tell me about Sword.
I don't know, honestly, like a whole lot about them. I know that they're kind of like the cosmic in the comics. They're the cosmic shield.
Okay,
honestly, kind of thing. But I think. And from what I understand, the way they're kind of doing it in the MCU is more of they're looking at like supernatural, cosmic-y kind of things on an Earth basis. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I don't know if they're cosmic yet. Obviously, we don't know, but from what I understand, it seems like that concept, but on an Earth organization.
They're not like the time travel police people, are they?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
Okay.
So I say cosmic includes everything, so they could. I'm sure they fucking time traveled at some point, but
I'm sure they'll find a way to differentiate them from S.H.I.E.L.D.
And here's the thing. We're getting down to spoilers because there's some things I just already know. I'm not going to say it, but I don't know. I'll say.
We'll get to that a little bit later. Okay. Is there any notable heroes that come from Sword or there?
Not that I know of. Again, it's honestly kind of more. It's one of those things that there's S.H.I.E.L.D., there's Sword, there's AIM, which is a villain organization, which is Iron Man 3, and funny enough, they're in Iron Man 3, but are referenced. But you know, there's even stuff that I kind of too deep cutty for me.
Sure.
Just because I don't know everything.
Okay, cool.
No, I mean, but let's talk about what happens in episode 1 real quick.
Yeah.
Which is not a whole lot. It's really just the whole thing is kind of based on who are they and
what's going on.
What's going on. That's kind of tied around this date, which is they find a calendar and I think there's significance to it.
Yeah.
And
now, is that date have any other significance that we know of in the MCU?
I
was like, is that the date Thanos snapped everyone? Or
no, there's some comic references there. It's I think it's like Avengers, whatever the date was or something. And or there starts referencing actual comic arcs.
So it's more of a meta reference.
It's a meta reference.
Okay.
But anyway, they're trying to figure out, funny enough, oh man, what does this date represent? Which is kind of like represent. We've seen that arc before in multiple movies and TV shows of like, I don't know. Oh, is it our anniversary? I don't know, honey. Is it? And it's like they both don't know. Which is a great way to kind of find out about what's happening, where we're at, and also it gives them kind of funny arcs in terms of she's got to learn how to cook. He's got to figure out, it's Hart means my boss's name, and now my boss is coming over, which is a classic, another sitcom thing of it. Yeah, especially in that time period of like you got to wine and dine your boss, and like this whole like you better do good, champ, kind of thing.
Yeah. No, it was great because I think but like you said, it also. They started inserting those questions of like, they don't know why they're here.
They don't.
Where they were before.
It's almost like waking up in the Matrix.
Yeah.
And you don't.
Or being in a dream.
And you can't remember. Exactly. That's better. Being in a dream. You don't remember how you got there. You just started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which obviously the episode kind of keeps building on that until the dinner, which is when Vision has to save the boss from choking.
Right.
And it's a really wonderful, creepy moment.
Yeah.
Also, thank you for casting the mom from That 70s Show. She couldn't have been a better casting.
Yeah.
And just her.
When she repeats that line, it's like, it starts getting like next level.
At first you're like, oh, this is weird. And then you're like, oh God. Like it starts getting creepy and like creepy.
And
like,
I know you noticed this, but even the camera changes, like not only did we didn't go widescreen, did we?
I don't think it went widescreen, but it went cinema.
But
like it went basically 24 FPS.
We went from like multi-camera setup, or maybe it's single camera setup to back then it might have been single camera setup
to like one shots
to like over like more closer OTSs with deeper depth of field and that kind of stuff. And
like
that
using
really
cinema lenses,
100%, and it really changed.
It does, like
and
especially
when they push in
exactly,
and
pushing it on Wanda.
I got chills. Yeah,
no, it was really good. It was really creepy, really unsettling in like a really interesting way.
Yeah,
and then. But also a little bit kind of, I guess, surprising when Vision, he reaches into the boss's throat and takes it out, and they just leave, and they act like nothing happened.
Yeah,
and you're kind of like, what
it's almost like programming, right? It's like they're
it feels like, well, it was hard to read. Part of me was like, oh, they got freaked out, and they're leaving, but at the same time, they don't seem that freaked out.
No,
and
they
then
don't.
He offers Vision a raise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, but. It's also not a lot to unpack at the same time.
Yeah, no, it's pretty simple.
It's very simple.
I mean, that basically gets us to episode 2.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk about is the neighbor.
Yes, I love her.
I can't think. I'm trying to look at her name right now. She's very famous.
I mainly think of her from Parks and Rec.
Yeah. Her name's Agnes in the show. It's Catherine Hahn.
That's right.
And she's a very, she's in a lot of stuff, and she nails it.
She seems to me like a character that will end up being more significant. Then maybe like I could see a lot of these like I could see never seeing the boss again.
No,
but I feel like she's someone that whatever we're experiencing now, obviously most of it's not real. I could see her potentially being a real person, maybe like kind of being a plant or an agent or something.
I think it is real, just not. I don't think it's a simulation. If that's what you're getting at.
I don't necessarily.
I guess we could save that for the end.
Yeah, we'll save our speculations.
So episode 2, we basically get into. It's even a funnier episode, in my opinion.
Way funnier.
Yeah.
The magic show.
Yeah, the magic show.
Oh man, and then of course the tropes are they're trying to impress the town at the town pageant, the town talent show, which is funny.
I wish we had those in real life. Town talent shows.
Yeah, and your social status is heavily based on how you perform, apparently. But then he's like going to the boys club or the neighborhood watch meeting, and they don't care about the neighborhood watch
gossiping.
At all. Yeah. And then he eats gum, and it makes him drunk.
Yeah, well, it literally gums him up, and because he's a machine, then obviously you can't have gum in a machine.
Marvelous, like fades to like the inside of Vision, and it's all hand drawn cartoon.
Oh no,
it's so good. Looks so great.
It's literally, yeah. I mean, the people behind this, they are real pros. You know, like
Yeah.
I think people sometimes look at superhero movies and they're like, oh man, another one of those, blah blah blah. And I can see that, and I understand the mentality, but I
have felt some superhero fatigue at times. I
have too.
Yeah.
But then you have to look at people doing stuff like this, and you're like, these people are honing their craft.
Oh man,
and are being very intelligent with how they use certain things.
And just it's more, I think, tribute to Kevin Feige and the MCU's management, the fact that they're finding ways to bring all of these genres into the MCU in natural ways. I mean, I even felt that when Guardians came out, which was like, oh my god, I got this sci-fi romp.
Yeah,
that's now a part of the MCU. You know what I mean? And
one thing I just thought of, and I agree, but one thing I just thought of was, I think, and I could be wrong, that Falcon and Winter Soldier are supposed to be first.
I'm pretty
positive. But how perfect is it that their first show, and the MCU is really just amalgamation of genres coupled with superhero stuff. 100%. How perfect is it that their first show is an amalgamation of shows?
Yeah,
with what I'm saying, like that's like the it's like poetic.
It's great. It's great, and it's two very lesser known characters, I'll say.
It is, yeah, 100%.
But both characters that I find incredibly interesting and I want to know more about.
Yeah.
So they're nailing it. But yeah, anyway, to episode 2.
Well, real quick.
Sorry.
No, you're good. But one thing, if you need a recap of who Wanda and Vision is.
Oh, that's right.
Marvel Legends is also on Disney Plus, and there's these nice little 6-7 minute bite-sized, basically shorts. They're almost like YouTube videos where they show you
compilations.
Yeah, they just show you clips of these characters and kind of preps you for their journey.
There's probably a lot of YouTube creators that are pissed about it.
Maybe it might be. And one thing,
how many YouTube videos have you seen that'll be like everything you need to know about Wanda and Vision thus far?
Yeah,
and now. Well, they don't have that.
You don't have to, yeah.
Well, but you could watch it in 4K on Disney Plus. So.
You can. The next thing they'll have a Disney podcast and they won't even need us anymore.
No way. We'll be the hosts of it.
That's true. No, but yeah, so the mechanics and the humor in episode 2 is just spot on. And Paul Bettany really gets to shine in this episode.
Yes.
And it's just amazing.
He's been there since the beginning. He's been there since Iron Man 1.
Well, yeah, because, I'm watching it, doing an MCU rewatch, and I'm doing it for the first time, narratively, like in order. So we're starting with Cap 1 and then Captain Marvel. But when we got to Iron Man, I was sitting there and it kind of, I heard his voice, and don't get me wrong, I see these movies like every year.
Yeah.
But like literally I watch them like every year. But I was sitting there and I was like, that's Jarvis. That's the Vision. And then I told Katie, I was like, that's Vision, right? And she was like, what? And I said, yeah, that's Vision. She's like, well, I don't understand. Because she's never seen Age of Ultron still. And I was like, she's like,
what are you doing over there, man?
I know.
You gotta
I'm
get
working
your
on
house in order.
I'm working on it. But I was like, no, and anyway, so that's just, it shows you like how long it goes back. And it's just so interesting to see where we started and where we're going.
It is. Yeah.
But no, let's talk about
the talent show.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And you were afraid we had nothing to talk about.
Oh, shut up. The talent show is so funny. This like basically drunk Vision performing using his powers, and then Wanda snapping her fingers to like set up the strings that are holding him up, or the mirrors that were showing him disappear. It was just, it's so smart.
I literally was like, what? Like, who was sitting there thinking, man, what contraption do we need to appear to make Vision holding? I literally was thinking in my head, like these guys are smart. Like, I mean, maybe that's on the writings on the wall there, but I was thinking, I think I might have had a hard time thinking about what we needed for a second. Anyway, I thought that
it was hilarious. It was so funny and it was just good humor. Yeah, and kind of physical humor, and it was just, it was really funny.
But we had some more of this kind of connections to the.
Oh, that's right. Right before that,
she grabs the helicopter in like the bushes, and it's red, very very Pleasantville.
But then before that, even with the cut,
and it's also red.
Pleasantville woman's hand. She's like the Pleasantville woman.
Yeah, she is
the kind of stuck up.
Yeah, 100%
runs the social order of the town.
Yeah, and
the blood, the red blood on her hand, and she even seemed in that scene like it almost felt like there was like something cracking beneath it, like she was showing.
Oh yeah,
like the performance was cracking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like that was really interesting because you was like, and then Wanda started hearing the noises at that point, didn't she?
Yeah, she started hearing
it.
Well, yeah,
for the first time.
I guess it was at the end.
That's when it gets really loud. But I think it may have. I think
you're right.
She gets like she hears being called Wanda. Or there's something that happens.
Yeah, there's someone like Wanda. Yeah,
and then she's asking for Vision. She's like, I need to see Vision at that point.
Yeah.
And then that's when she finds him drunk.
Yeah.
I think.
Also, just real quick, there's these little intercuts with like TV other commercials like Stark toaster.
But they're very. They're subliminal advertising basically.
They are, but and they tie directly
like
to Wanda and to Vision. Yeah,
the Strucker one.
Well,
and did you notice that on the watch it was a Hydra symbol and it said "Hail Hydra" on the watch?
I didn't notice that.
And it said Strucker always with you. Basically,
did you watch Age of Ultron before WandaVision or after?
Yeah, I did actually. So
you were really prepped.
I did. Yeah, I was actually did it on purpose because I was like,
oh, okay.
I want to. That's basically the perfect lead up to this, other than Infinity War Endgame, which I'd watched recently too. But yeah, no, it had a Hydra like.
I didn't notice that part. I did see Strucker, and I went Barry Von Strucker. So I told Katie, and she was like, I haven't seen Age of Ultron. I was like, oh,
no, yeah, it said Hail Hydra on the watch.
That's cool.
So it's obviously very much, and the slogan was like Strucker, always with you. Like you can't escape it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and he gave her powers, as we know.
Right. Well, he's dead, right? As far as we know, he was killed in Ultron.
Was he killed?
I think Ultron kills him because he doesn't want other people to know what Strucker knew about something. Remember, I don't
remember Ultron killing him.
Pretty sure he does. Or someone kills him and they have this whole thing of like Ultron already got Strucker. Obviously, he knew something that.
Okay,
he didn't want us to know
I do know, and this is how canon it is anymore. But in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they really deal with Von Strucker in that too.
Do they kill him?
I think there's Von Strucker's child is in that or something.
Okay,
they deal with him.
I'm pretty sure Strucker dies in Ultron.
I have to check. Let us know in the comments.
Anyway,
yep.
Really wonderful commercial. The first one, I'm trying to remember what the one.
It was the Tony Stark toaster.
That's right, and then the light was red.
Oh.
And if you notice the light on the toaster and it beeped and it like at the end of the commercial, it just held on them in this creepy way. They're just kind of staring.
Yeah.
And they're just going beep, beep. It was almost like an alarm clock or something.
Yeah.
Like it was really, but those
it is
moments,
interesting.
I love it.
Which is great because
the
again,
mystery,
Tony's even obviously a connection everywhere, but he made Jarvis, he made Vision, and then you have Strucker who made Wanda.
Yeah.
So it's
but it just, they're presenting us in these like creepy Stepford Wives, like something bad is going on beneath the surface, and it's just wonderful.
Oh yeah,
because I mean, I'm watching it, and I'm like, again, I'm like looking at what the words on the watch say underneath the face. You know what I mean?
I wish we had like almost 2 per episode. That way, we were getting more like an actual episode format kind of thing.
Yeah,
because normally there's always 2 breaks when an actual sitcom.
How many episodes are in the season? Have they said?
I think there's 9. We have 7 more weeks, I believe.
9 times 2. What's that? How many minutes would it be if you just edited them all together?
I mean, and they've said though that some of these episodes will be longer or shorter and everything.
I would assume
else.
they get longer towards the end.
That's from what I've heard. Yes.
No. Yes, the creepy stuff is so good. The fake commercials are amazing.
No, it's great. But here's a question for you. Maybe we're getting. But what do you think? Now this is a joy for me because I get to find these references.
Yeah,
I get to that kind of stuff. Obviously, that went over Katie's head. There's people like Katie, even more so, less than Katie. They don't know about the MCU. Do you think these people are enjoying it as obviously they can't be enjoying as much as we are, but do you think they're enjoying it or understand it or making them?
I don't know. I mean, this show kind of feels like a show for the big, the major fans.
It does.
The mega fans. Because yes, I think you can still watch. I mean, it's the sitcom tropes are still hilarious. Nothing is removed from that. As long as you have a basic idea of who Vision and Wanda are, that they're superheroes or that he's not human.
But there's stuff like the
understandable.
My husband's head is indestructible, which is obviously a poke at him getting his head destroyed in Endgame,
right?
Or in Infinity War,
right?
So it's like that kind of stuff. Even though the joke could still be funny, but would it land?
I think so. I think you probably need to be MCU literate, to really get what this show is going for, and. I think though, I mean, what we're 13 years into the MCU, 14 years.
2008.
I think this is right. Like it has saturated the culture and society to a level that there is enough, obviously, mega fans to support a show like this. That is these deep cuts on references on, you probably need to watch the 50 hours of MCU up to this point to understand.
More than that, but yes.
We've done that because we want to, because it's good. And so as a fan, I love it because it feels like it's kind of the maturing of the universe.
And it's earned. It's
earned. Right. But it's like, this is when we can start doing Spider-Verse and these like really intricate fan heavy
Spider-Verse,
like,
you said? Oh man.
Yeah. We can start doing these intricate, lore heavy, nerdy as shit kind of plots and concepts because we've established the character so well and the world so well. And we're all just so hooked on it. We're all just so invested in it. Like as a fan, I'm like, yes, more of this. Like I want the deep cuts. I want the fan moments. I want the hype. I want the like the moments for the fans and the moments for the people that have been watching since day one and have watched all the movies over and over again. And it feels like this movie or this show so far is just that.
It does.
It's just it's something for the super fans, while also just being awesome and cool and intriguing and mysterious and. I'm 100% in. I just want it all now. I'm a little bit like 20 minutes per week. It feels like a little bit of a drip feed.
It does.
And I feel a little bit.
I mean, but here's the good thing though. Like I now that we're talking about it, I think I may go watch it tonight. And that's 2 viewings.
Wait, what?
I think I may go watch it tonight.
Oh, watch it again.
Yeah. And that's like, I wouldn't have done that if I had watched it all on, all 9 episodes in a row one day. You know what I'm saying? Like I just
done how good
that's true, but I just binged Cobra Kai. Like I just binged all 3 seasons,
and
I'm not going to go back and watch those at least for a little bit. I
understand that. Yeah.
So that's the magic of it. Again, they're making us talk about it, so it's smart.
But this show also lends itself to rewatchability because of the
hidden
short messages.
Yes, it does.
And the hidden layers of plot.
Yeah.
Because that's all. Most of the, I guess, hard plot that we've gotten so far has been in has taken up 5 minutes of the first 40 minutes of television that this show has been.
Yeah.
But because it's been peppered in and layered in and slightly hidden or drawing your eye away from it, like I bet there's a shit ton of more things like the Hydra Watch.
Oh, I bet there is.
In like Vision's office.
Oh,
or when he's at the place with at the club, like the neighborhood watch place,
yeah.
Right? I bet there's, one of those guys could be holding like a Hydra cup or some shit, who knows?
Yeah.
Or like a Thanos gloved coffee mug or something like you have, like they probably hold one of these.
We're in WandaVision right now.
You know what I mean? But that's awesome.
That's
fun. That's when you like that's when it starts feeling like kind of Westworldy. Where it's kind of this zeitgeist of everyone trying to figure what's going on out, and it's done so smart. I don't know. I'm loving it.
No, I'm not going to say too much more on that because I agree with everything you're saying, and I think it's a great show. If you haven't watched it, check it out. But I do want to get into some possible spoilers.
Yes. So big spoiler warning. From now until the end of the video, it's not going to be much longer. We're going to be talking about things that we've heard, that have been leaked, that we think might happen for the rest of WandaVision. So if you don't
and for the MCU at large,
that, or think about that, or potentially get spoiled, we're pretty fucking awesome, and we're pretty good at predicting plots. So you're probably going to get spoiled. But if you don't want to, log off now. We'll see you next time when we talk more WandaVision. But this has been like a 30-second spoiler warning. So if you haven't left by now, you done fucked up.
You done fucked up, son.
Hit me.
All right. Real quick, before we get into like the nitty gritty stuff, I do want to ask, I think since we started in the 50s, episode 2 is 60s, episode 3 is probably 70s,
Wait, what?
Look, we were in the 50s in the first episode. We changed stylistically to the 60s in the second episode.
Did we?
We did. There's not a huge change.
Are you sure?
We did. There's not a huge change between 50s and 60s. Keep that in mind. So that's why you didn't really notice it so much.
What were the differences?
More, it's subtle differences. More like
I did not catch that at all.
Yeah, it's not super large. But next week we're in the 70s. That's why it's gonna be color.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, because obviously at the end of episode 2 we get
and
color.
Episode in the 80s will probably it will be episode 4. But I wonder when that will stop. I wonder when we will get to. I know there's an 80s episode because I've seen the trailer and she's wearing 80s garb. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't seen anything from the 90s. I haven't seen that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. But I wonder, when do you think we're going to really gear up, if there's 9 episodes, to the end game here, so to speak?
I feel like we need to soon. Like, I feel like we need to next week to really to introduce the antagonist, if there is one.
I think Wanda's the antagonist.
No, she's the protagonist.
She's the protagonist, but I think she's also going to be the one that's stopping herself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but are they going to have someone else that she's battling against or competing against?
I see what you're saying.
Fighting, and maybe they're going to be a force trying to keep her here.
Yeah, and some people think that someone's doing this to Wanda. I don't think so. I think Wanda's doing all this personally. I mean, she's the one that ends up. She's pregnant after she mentions kids. She's the one that.
Yeah,
I really think so, because she at one point, if I remember correctly, she kind of rewinds time, or she does something.
It's at the pregnant moment.
Yeah,
because she's fine, and then I'm trying to remember what happens, but like bad stuff basically starts happening. She's like, "Wait, this isn't right."
Yeah, she's like, "Stop." She says, "Stop," right?
Yeah,
and then so I think she's controlling this, and here's why.
Yeah,
if you've watched Age of Ultron, if you watched Civil War, if you've watched Endgame, Infinity War, this woman has been through a lot. And she is suffering from PTSD, hardcore.
For sure.
And Vision, last time we saw Vision, he was killed. And one thing
in her arms.
And last thing we heard today, actually, not to date this, but there was supposed to be an after credit sequence after Endgame with Vision in it. So it kind of almost makes me think like, okay, maybe Vision actually is alive, but he has the Mind Stone in his head when he's not human Vision in the show. Yeah. As far as we know, that the Mind Stones were destroyed, and destroyed as in they were broken down to their smallest atoms, so not technically destroyed.
Right.
So I think Vision is a hallucination. I don't think he's actually real, or I think that she created him, because Wanda's powerful now. Don't get me wrong. She's like supposed to be the most powerful character in the MCU.
Other than Thor?
She's more powerful than Thor.
Even with Stormbreaker? I thought he was supposed to be like with Stormbreaker, like
technically Cat Marvel was like.
Oh yeah, now she's the most powerful.
But I think after Cat Marvel's movie, they've kind of even went back, and because there was like, literally you can actually track the quotes of Kevin Feige telling who has the most powerful. It was Scarlet Witch, and then it became Cat Marvel, and then he recently said it was Scarlet Witch. So
interesting.
I've done that kind of homework, people. But
no, I agree with your theory. I mean, I think there's an old episode of some podcast where I think we were talking about this, about the announcement.
Well,
and my prediction was it's all in her head. It's all her dealing with Vision's death. Yeah. That's the whole show.
And we do know that she will be in Doctor Strange.
Check the receipts. I know they're somewhere. So go check them for me.
We do know that there will be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
And we know that Scarlet Witch is in there.
We do. And we know this is a direct consequence, or that movie is a direct consequence of the show. We do know that. Yeah. We also know that Spider-Man, that from what we understand, that there's people from the other movies, Alfred Molina, Jamie Foxx, all these.
In Spider-Man's movie.
In Spider-Man's movie.
Wasn't it just confirmed that Charlie Cox just wrapped his filming?
It was confirmed in the sense that reliable sources. No one's confirmed. He just wrapped. There's no confirmed.
Okay. But there wouldn't be for a movie that's about reveals.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So how do we know? I don't know.
Yeah.
I would love that, by the way. I love Daredevil from Netflix. It's the best thing about it.
It was the best part of the MCU's television run.
Absolutely.
Easily.
That's a great 3 seasons if you haven't seen those. You can skip Iron Fist.
Hot quality.
Yeah. But I think that Wanda is doing this herself. Mm-hmm. And I think that she will be the villain in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of in the Madness, or whatever, Multiverse of Madness. I think I think people for some reason keep latching on to, it's a buddy cop between them two. No, I think it could be a buddy cop between Doctor Strange and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and she is the bad guy.
Maybe, but I could see it.
I think so. I say bad guy. I don't mean bad person. I mean antagonist.
Who is the traditional antagonist of like the multiverse arcs?
Well, here's the thing.
Like Madam Web was in there, right?
The multiverse thing is, in the WandaVision, all this kind of stuff. It's kind of taking this House of M kind of arc.
Yeah.
Which House of M, if you don't know, is WandaVision. She's a mutant in the comics. Her and Quicksilver are the children of Magneto.
Mm-hmm.
So, which will come in a second. So, she in the comics has this ability where she can almost like wish things away. It's a little different than her cosmic kind of powers from the Mind Stone. So she can like actually like, she can say, what she does, no more mutants, and there's no more mutants.
Yeah.
So that's what House of M is. She basically wishes away all mutants, and there's no more. So she's kind of the antagonist in that story.
Yeah.
I think it's something kind of like that, where she starts doing stuff and starts breaking the multiverse. And I think that maybe unintentionally so, she might be the villain of the story. But you want to hear this sweet ass thing that dropped recently?
I do.
It's a spoiler, but I think it's something that you're not going to be upset with.
Okay.
I tell you. The Spanish actor who does the voiceover for Peter from X-Men Days of Future Past and X-Men.
Wait, okay.
Peter is in Quicksilver.
He's Quicksilver in Days of Future Past?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember what he looks like.
He's the kid from American Horror Story.
That doesn't help.
Anyway,
Okay.
he's in Days of Future Past.
Sure.
He's in Apocalypse, and he's also in Dark Phoenix as Quicksilver.
Okay.
He has the best scenes in almost all three of those movies because he does the slow motion run stuff.
Yeah.
Well, in the Foxverse, he's Quicksilver, right?
Yeah.
And we do know he's the son of Magneto. Well, the voice actor who does his Spanish translation has come out and said, "Oh, I love coming back for WandaVision, blah 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 blah," and he's playing Quicksilver, the Foxverse Quicksilver. So I think what's going to happen.
I think is where you're going. I've always thought that Multiverse of Madness is the best way to introduce the X-Men.
Yeah, well, I think that it will. I think it will be maybe a side effect.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like it's the best in universe cause and effect for why they're all of a sudden mutants and X-Men.
I still think
theoretically should have been there the whole time, but now they're all of a sudden there.
I still always like the idea that the snap, which we do know that the Gauntlet has, and the Infinity Gems have gamma radiation because that's in Avengers 1.
Yeah.
I always like the idea that too many snaps started causing people to mutate. I just love.
I do like that.
I think it's a really good in canon
way to do it, but with that kind of information and the fact that we already have these characters in the MCU that are mutants, that are heavily involved in the X-Men plots, and and there's more than just her, isn't there? I feel like there's other.
What do you mean?
I'm trying to think if there's other superheroes that have also been mutants that we've had. Maybe not.
I can't think about it. I don't know. I have to think about it.
Anyway,
some circles would say Spider-Man's a mutant. I would disagree, but
he's not a mutant in the way those other people are mutants. He wasn't born with it.
Yeah, but there's some other things in Spider-Man's lore that kind of make it kind of tricky.
Anyway,
yeah,
I still think multiverse is still like some kind of combination of universes, and that could totally be possible. Is her trying to find her brother again,
and she accidentally
open the multiverse,
and she accidentally brings back him
and Magneto,
Ian McKellen, Magneto. Well, you could get them both, baby. But I'm saying you just
Ian McKellen's the only real one.
Well, hey, Michael Fassbender is a good Magneto.
Great, but he's no fucking Ian McKellen.
I don't know. He's good.
He's not Ian McKellen.
He's not Ian McKellen, but he's good. But I think there's a scene coming, calling it now, where she tries to do something, or she brings him back, or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, hey, Wanda." She's like, "You're not my brother." And he's like, "No, I am." You know what I'm saying? And it starts bringing those kind of seeds in.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah, which also automatically brings in the idea of different versions, different characters.
Which brings in fucking Wolverine.
Which brings in alternate universe Tony Stark, alternate universe Captain America. Brings in Tobey Maguire, brings in Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, but I don't know if they'll do the alternate universe MCU mains yet. I could see them waiting on that or not doing that.
I don't think yet, but we've said this before. 100% Secret War is going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's when it happens. It's all prep.
Yeah. But I do think, what I could see happening is like we shred open to this other universe where there's no Avengers. There's no Thanos. There's just mutants. Like this version of Earth doesn't have Tony Stark and Thor. It has Wolverine and Dr. Magneto or whatever.
I personally prefer the idea of like, I don't want those X-Men people to be in the MCU. I don't.
Why?
I don't
They're some of the best. Fucking Wolverine. If Hugh Jackman came back,
do I want Hugh Jackman? Yes, because I want to see that.
Such a fun, awesome character too. I want to see Wolverine going back and forth with Thor. I want the Hulk. I want to see the Hulk. I want to throw Wolverine with his spikes out.
I want to see that. I don't want to see that with the old cast of X-Men, the first class cast or the original cast. I don't personally.
Well, with some exceptions.
Yes.
Fucking Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart. I would take them back in a heartbeat. Hugh Jackman, I think, is perfect. I think Halle Berry is a half decent Storm, to be honest.
Yeah, but she needs to be. I don't know how to say this insensitively.
Days of Future Past people, they can all go die. I don't care about any of those characters.
See, those people are great, but here's the thing, though.
They're not. They're preteen whiny ass bitch babies that have
I'm talking about James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender.
They are good.
Those two are great.
They're not the characters for those roles.
I don't know. They're good, man. They're really good. I don't know. But my point is, like, I bring them in for multiverse. Yes, don't bring them in for official canon. Like, this is the streamlined universe.
I don't know, man.
Well, also, you got to think about this. Like, they're thinking long game. They're thinking 10, 20 years out. You're gonna have Patrick Stewart back as Charles Xavier again for another 10 years.
You don't think they're gonna have X-Men movies coming out in the next 20 years?
No, they are. Bring the X-Men in. Give it to me. I'm saying don't do. Bring in those people to
make it be an alternate universe.
I mean, no. Bring them in. Bring the X-Men into the MCU. 100%.
Yeah.
Don't bring in those actors as the official casting of the MCU
Besides
version.
Hugh Jackman, yes.
Bring him in for Secret Wars. You better bring him in for Secret Wars.
I don't know, man. I can't imagine anyone being a better Wolverine though. And if he was agreed to
Not better, but different. I want Wolverine.
But he's perfect. If you make it different, it's no longer perfect.
He's perfect for what we got. I want suit Wolverine. I want Wolverine wearing a suit, looking like Wolverine, looking 5'4". I want that Wolverine.
Yeah, but
don't get me wrong. I love Hugh Jackman, Logan.
But you could just put Hugh Jackman in a suit.
Yeah, but he can't do it forever. That's what I'm saying. Give me both. Give me Hugh Jackman and MCU.
He can do it for the next 10 years, easy.
He won't. He won't want to though.
I don't know.
I mean, granted, there was quotes him saying he would come back for an Avengers level thing.
Money speaks a lot.
Yeah, but he's getting up there, man. Him to keep that kind of shape is getting difficult. He's in his 50s. Keeping that kind of shape is difficult.
When has he not been in that kind of shape though?
Now, you know what I'm saying? Like when you don't have to eat chicken every day.
I don't know, man.
But that's my whole point of the whole thing. Not to argue about that, but is to say this is the start of this. And also, there was recent reports that Chris Evans is back as Captain America.
Yeah, but then he said, he came out and said, well, this is the first time hearing of that. But that's what you have to say if there's secret discussions going on.
If he didn't respond, it would add more credits to it. But he did respond, saying that, and everyone immediately went, oh, it's debunked.
And
I'm like, are you stupid? Like, why would
Chris Evans, why would you not want to be Captain America? You are not going to get a better role.
I can see Chris Evans
as far as money.
Well, he don't need any more money. He doesn't need any more money.
Being an icon of culture. I mean, that's something I've been thinking recently. Like the Marvel movies are our generation's Star Wars. Like these are the movies that will be remembered forever from this time, and 100%. Be like when the MCU came out, like the way we talk about when Star Wars came out.
Here it is again, the heroic age of cinema. Go on.
Yeah. So I mean, I love Chris Evans. I love him, but his best role is Captain America that I've ever seen him in. He plays that role better than I've seen him play any other role ever.
He does.
And so, it's one of those things of like, yes, you want to, and I'm sure he will branch out, and I'm sure it's kind of hard for them not to typecast him as like a confident, bravado type A kind of character.
I mean, he's done stuff defending Jacob on Apple TV. He's got a movie with the Russo brothers.
Knives Out, even.
Yeah, he's the bad guy.
Yeah,
he's the spoilers. Sorry, we're in the spoiler section. Spoilers.
But anyway, I just still feel like I don't know.
No, I see what you're saying. I think more logistically of like, hey, his arc is ended on a perfect note. If they bring him back, it has to be something very important, or has to be something that can be a coda to maybe the MCU itself.
Yep.
And I think Secret Wars is that moment.
I do too.
But anyway, I think it's all building up to this. I think it's fascinating. It's interesting. I almost wish that, and I see that they wouldn't or couldn't or whatever, but I almost wish that Secret Wars would be the end of the MCU. And then they just start fresh. New Iron Man, new whatever, I
think they'll have to be a big new cast at that point. Like they'll have to be like a recasting of a lot of main characters. I mean, just from contractual situations.
I mean, we have a lot of new characters coming up, but they're not. But they're not Iron Man. They're not Captain America. We're really starting. You can make them that big, but we're really starting to really dig down deep into the well of characters. Sure.
But the fact that if you can make Star-Lord from what he was, which was this obscure,
which is nothing, right?
Lame character,
and I agree.
A staple, like one of the main protagonists of the MCU, they can do a lot.
I agree, but I think that my big argument for this, and like one of my last things I'm going to say, is that I agree with what you're saying, but also there's a point where like, man, and even Kevin Feige said this recently, like, man, I really regret Iron Man not getting to meet Mr. Fantastic Four Reed Richards. Like that's a big thing.
But it will happen in like one of those Secret Wars kind of things, I think. I think you're going to have a scene where Reed Richards is teaming up with Banner and Iron Man and some other smart, maybe something Beast from X-Men, the big blue guy. that's like a genius.
Yeah.
Them all teaming up to figure out some problem, and they're all working together in Tony's lab to create suits.
I would love it, but that's what I'm saying. They can only do so many Secret Wars. They can only do so many movies where they pay Robert Downey Jr. $60 million to come back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you can do as many that are making $2 billion at the box office.
Yeah, but we get to a certain point, 10, 20 years from now, where those actors just won't come back. They can't come back.
No, you're right.
I mean, unfortunately, look at Chadwick Boseman. Also, life happens where we lose people.
Sure.
We can't always, as fans, be like, why aren't you Captain America in 20 years?
No, you're right.
You know?
There's going to come a point where we have to say goodbye to all these characters.
Yeah. And they did it perfectly, in my opinion, in Endgame, at least for the character arcs.
Yeah.
And it's almost like also when you do that, you could tarnish that goodbye, the original goodbye.
But I mean, I think you look at the comics and yes, there's been some moments in the comics where fans have not been happy with character moments, or the comics have not always been good. There's been times where they've not been good, like the arcs, whatever. There's always dips and lows, but then they find that one guy that has this new idea for Batman and this new 52 shit. You know, like there's just like that, like, but what if, well, we haven't seen this, and there's always new things to do when you've got that many creative people, that much creative talent, and just unlimited resources.
Yeah.
You know, I hope that we're always getting some kind of MCU for the rest of our lives, that we're getting some, as long as it keeps being good.
I just want
having interesting stories.
I just want to officially end once. That way I can die.
And so you can own the box set.
Well, yes,
the complete box set.
That way I can die knowing that I saw the end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's almost, I feel like, don't you feel that way sometimes? Like Star Wars?
But if it does end, I know that it'll take a 20-year break like Star Wars. And
that's fine. Yeah. I can die not knowing. You know what I'm saying? But
you're gonna intentionally die before they announce the
you know what I'm saying? Like, I'd be so goddamn mad as a ghost if I was waiting for an MCU movie and I died beforehand. You're afraid of haunting people? You fucking watch out for me when Iron Man 10 comes out and I don't get to watch it.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But anyway, I know it's the WandaVision, but yeah, obviously we have to talk about other stuff because it's all tied, tied together.
It's so fun.
Yeah. And of course, we're going to cover this again. We might do a couple more episodes from now. We'll do another recap, but it
probably just depends on what happens.
True. Yeah.
If there's just a ton of shit happening that's just juicy, then we'll probably have another one. But, but if not, we may just do kind of a wrap up.
Yeah. I kind of suspect that's what's going to happen. Yeah. We have other stuff we have to talk about. We still
a few things.
We're a little behind on Wonder Woman, and it's important.
I've got to be honest, guys. I'm struggling to find motivation to watch it because everyone that watches is like,
I'll watch it with you anytime you want to watch it. I'll watch it with you.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll watch it anytime.
Okay.
Because
I just get home at night. I'm like, do I want to watch something good or something mediocre?
I can have any friend come around and say, "Hey, you want to watch Joss Whedon's Justice League?" And I'd go, "Yep," just because I like it. I like I like doing that kind of stuff.
No,
so
I hear you. I
have no problem watching Wonder Woman.
Okay, we'll make it happen.
Anyway, I'm excited about WandaVision.
And we talked about these 2 episodes, almost double the length of these 2 episodes.
What you should do is you should start those episodes and then run our track over it, and then you'll get some great, probably some good commentary. Yeah, you might. Yeah. Anyway, Daniel, how can our listeners write into us?
You can write into us at bit.ly/241mail. Let us know your thoughts about WandaVision. What is your theories about what's going to happen next? And just anything else you want to tell us. We'd love to keep talking nerdy shit with all our nerdy friends.
Yeah. And of course, if you want more Podcast 241, go to podcast241.com. There, all of our content is on there. And of course, we always say, if you're not listening on any of these podcast services, go check us out on our YouTube channel. We have new content like 241 Collectors, 241 Backflash, and of course, all of our episodes of Podcast 241 are on there as well. Yeah. A lot to say. If you haven't, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you're up to date on all future episodes. Daniel, we did it.
We did it.
We're back in the studio.
We're back in the saddle, baby.
All right. Well, my name is Donovan Thompson.
I'm Daniel Wingfield.
And we have spoken.
Stop that.
Would you have to be back?
I don't have a time.
I say, hell, I don't know.